Welcome back, everybody. It's time to check out this week's vendor selection. Starting in the Scholarium, we have Bound Affix Script Force, adds force, a buff increasing critical damage. Bound Affix Script Uncertainty, adds uncertainty, a debuff reducing weapon critical damage. Bound Focus Script Immobilize, adds an immobilization effect. And Bound Signature Script Wayfarer's Mastery, adds improved functionality of skill line passives. That's it for the Scholarium. We're going to head over to the Imperial Sewers next. All right, let's see what the Telvar Merchant has.
This is all according to plan.
Okay, we're starting off with the Deadlands treasure maps. Deadlands brings us Eye of the Grasp, Hexosis Ward, and Kind Marcher's Cruelty, as well as a chance for the leads for Ancient Daedric motif chapters. However, 6,000 Telvar is a little steep. The Deadlands motifs do still sell for quite a bit, so if you have a lot of Telvar to spend, this is not a horrible way, I guess, but I think there's better ways to spend your Telvar. All right, we have scripts. Our first script is Bound Affix Script Enervation, adds Enervation, a debuff reducing critical damage. Bound Focus Script Disease Damage, adds disease damage. And Bound Signature Script Fencer's Parry, adds deflection of next direct damage attack. We then have Eagle-Eyed Necklace and Ring. Our leads this week, I'm not hating these. The first one is Hunger Leather Heel. This is part of Mad God's Dancing Shoes, which comes out of Solstice. So you'll need the Solstice chapter or Content Pass Seasons of the Worm Cult Part 1 in order to buy this or dig it up. This one drops off the first boss in the dungeon Depths of Malatar. So it's not horrible to farm, especially if you find a group that's willing to just go kill the first boss a couple times. And there are other leads in Depths of Malatar, but I always get a little bit more excited about dungeon leads than others. So it's here if you need it. Next up, we have Morpholith Shank, which is part of the Mark and Ring of Majesty. I am kind of excited about this one because while it comes from Cold Harbor treasure chests, which seems like it'd be really easy, my first lead for this took me hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of farming treasure chests in Cold Harbor. And I'm working on getting my second lead right now. It does not want to drop after several more hours. So I personally will probably be buying this one. Then we have Necklace and Ring of Imperial Physique. And finally, the Phial of Tainted Blood. Consume 25 Phials of Tainted Blood to unlock the Skill Stylist Eviscerate achievement and the Eviscerate Violet Purple skill style. These drop out of Dietra Grotto, which is the public dungeon in Solstice. As with other fragments, the Runebox fragments or collectible fragments, these do drop a little bit easier the first one each day, and then they get a little bit more rare. You can farm them relatively easily. However, they're still selling for about 20,000 gold on PCNA, so 5,000 Telvar is not horrible, I don't think. So let's head over to Infinite Archive and see what we have on that vendor. Let's see what Filer Ul has for us.
I hope you don't have your mind.
All right, first up, we have Cold Harbor treasure maps. Cold Harbor brings us Meridia's Blessed Armor, Prisoner's Rags, and Stygian, as well as a chance for one of 4 books. Those are furnishings. Remember, you will need to know the eidetic memory in order to find those book furnishings. If you need them, they are in my guild hall on both PCNA and EU, which is on House Tours. However, 2,000 archival fortunes is way too much for a Cold Harbor treasure map. Just go spend a couple hundred gold at the guild traders. All right, our first plan is Blueprint Khajiit Bed Canopy. This is a base game pattern. 26 to 33,000 on PCNA. Not a horrible deal. Not horrible. Not great, but not horrible. Okay, we have scripts. We have Bound Affix Script Intellect and Endurance. Adds Intellect and Endurance buffs, increasing Magicka and Stamina recovery. Bound Focus Script Poison Damage. Adds poison damage. Bound Signature Script Knight's Valor. Adds improved use of bash or blocking. Our style page is a mask this week. I almost always recommend the masks. They have a horrible drop rate. If you have the hard mode achievement, you have a much better chance of getting it to drop You're going to run this dungeon many times before you get a mask, more than likely. I think 15,000 archival fortunes is a fair deal. Next up, we have Cartographer's Boots. It is one of 7 pieces for the Master Field Cartographer costume collectible. These drop in Nachuthenkarst Public Dungeon.
Nachuthenkarst. It's a mouthful, right? I sometimes wonder if the real reason the dwarves are all gone is because they choked and swallowed their tongues trying to say their own names.
Which is in Blackreach Greymore Caverns. The drop rate isn't horrible. I think 3,000 archival fortunes is a little steep when you can get them from traders for about 3,000 to 4,000 gold, but it is here if you need it. Next up, we have companion equipment weapons. I typically do not recommend these. You are at the mercy of RNG, and when you buy companion equipment this way, it is bound. But if you need weapons and you have archival fortunes to blow, go for it. All right, our first book this week is Critter Dangers. This one drops in Infinite Archive, and the eidetic memory is in Telvanni Peninsula. Our next plan is Diagram Cage Covered. This is another base game, but also this drops during the Witches Festival, which is coming up, and you can get it on traders for 1,000 gold on PCNA. So if you don't have it, please don't spend 2,000 archival fortunes on it. It's not worth it. I would wait until after the Witches Festival, and if you don't get it that way, just get it from a trader. It'll be even cheaper after the Witches Festival. Next up, we have Erroneous Archive Maps. Consume 20 Erroneous Archive Maps to unlock the Walk Through the Mirror Maze achievement and the Shattered Mirror Maze body marks. These are 3,000 archival fortunes. I don't think this is worth it. You are guaranteed to get these eventually if you do enough Infinite Archive dailies. But let's take a peek at what it looks like. Here are the Shattered Mirror Maze body marks. Again, you will ultimately get these if you do enough Infinite Archive dailies. I don't think they're worth 3,000 archival fortunes, especially when you need 20 of them. All right, our leads this week are really good. This is a pretty good week, I think. Okay, the first one here is Bazarki Tonal Pipes. This is part of Rorken Steam Guards. This is your Halls of Fabrication Trial Final Boss lead. So in order to get this, you will need a trial group that can run at least normal Halls of Fabrication. I know people have been running it more since the leads have started dropping, but it's still not one that's commonly run. So if you need this one, it is here for 5,000 archival fortunes. But just a note, you will need Westweald in order to dig it up, or ESO+. All right, our next lead is Petrified Snow Cedar. This is part of Snow Treaders, and this one drops from all world bosses in the Rift, so not a horrible one. Our final plan is Pattern Necrom Bed Double Elegant. It runs about 17 to 21k on PCNA. It's here for 2,000 archival fortunes. A lot of the Necrom patterns are a little bit cheaper just because of the underway. It makes it really easy to farm the patterns. But it's here if you still need it. Next, does this look familiar? We have Phial of Tainted Blood again. Remember that was over in Imperial Sewers? I think, was it 5,000 Telvar over there? Here it's 1,000 archival fortunes, which personally I think is a much better deal. But again, I'm not a PvPer. I have Telvar, but not a ton. Infinite Archive has a currency that is much easier for me to farm. So if you still need these, 1,000 archival fortunes isn't horrible, but I would still farm some of them. Remember, in the Solstice Public Dungeon, Dietrich Grotto. And our final book is Song of Fate. This is another small book. This one drops in Infinite Archive, and the eidetic memory is an Apocrypha. Time for us to run a couple arcs of Infinite Archive, and we'll let you know what new gear is dropping this week. I just ran some Infinite Archive, and it looks like we have gear dropping from Greenshade. That includes Beekeeper's gear, Shadow Dancer's raiment, and Wilder Queen's arch, as well as from Vardenfell, which includes Defiler, War Maiden, and Warrior Poet. That's going to do it for this week. We'll see you in the next one.